Studies Section 9 Stereotyping Introduction. This lecture will further your knowledge on stereotyping, the basis for their formation, stereotype threat, self-fulfilling prophecies, consequences of stereotyping, self-perpetuating stereotypes, and reducing stereotypes. You will also be exposed to how events are interpreted in relation to race, which is consistent with a group's stereotype. Learning outcome in Studies Section 9. Learning outcome 1.9 explain the term stereotype. Learning outcome 2.9 able to explain self-fulfilling prophecy and how it relates to stereotyping. Learning outcome 3.9 state the consequences of stereotype. Learning outcome 4.9 explain major ways of reducing stereotype. Content. In many cultures around the world, stereotype is a natural and common process. Like other generalizations, stereotypes frequently serve as a mental shortcut and are especially like to be applied when people are busy or distracted. Stereotypes can be activated outside conscious awareness to the stereotyped group. Once activated, stereotyping can influence attitude and behavior. From the cognitive perspective, stereotyping is inevitable. It stems from the ubiquity and necessity of categorization. We categorize almost everything from natural, water, grasses, and animals to artificial cars, houses, etc. The purpose of this categorizing is to simplify the task of taking in an efficient processing of information. People most often fall back on mindless stereotypes when they lack mental energy. Stereotyping can distort our perceptions of others. Involving the stereotype may save time and effort, but it can lead to mistaken impressions and unfair judgment about individuals. Biased information processing can help explain why even stereotypes completely lacking in validity nevertheless develop and endure. For example, if one suspects another person based on what one was told, or the implication of a joke which one heard, or a hard-to-interpret performance difference, that a particular group of people might differ from the mainstream in some way. It is very easy to construe pertinent information in such a way that suspicion is confirmed, solidified, and elaborated. Stereotypes also influence how events are interpreted. In doing this, for instance, the race of the person sometimes made a difference in how the action is seen. People do not evaluate information evenly instead. Information that is consistent with a group of stereotypes typically has more impact on them than information that is inconsistent with it. Question. Stereotype as a natural and common process frequently serves as a mental shortcut which influences dash and dash, particularly when activated outside conscious awareness to the stereotyped group. A. Group conscientiousness and behavior. B. Behavior and cognition. C. Behavior and attitude. The correct answer was C. Reason. The answer justifies the major patterns or attributes which stereotyping can influence and define within the content of a group's ethnic culture. Options A and B were not correct because group conscientiousness and cognition do not refer to a natural and common process which can frequently serve as a mental shortcut that can influence attitude and behavior. Self-fulfilling prophecy. This is when we act towards members of certain groups in ways that encourage the very behavior we expect. For example, a teacher who thinks that members of a particular group lack intellectual ability may fail to offer them adequate instructions, thus increasing the chances that they will indeed fall behind their classmates. Robert Merton, who coined the term self-fulfilling prophecy, once said, "The specious validity of the self-fulfilling prophecy perpetuates a reign of error. For the prophet will cite the actual cause of events as proof that he was right from the very beginning." Menton, 1957. In self-fulfilling prophecy, you are acting on a belief in a way that tends to support the original belief, as when we act toward members of certain groups in ways that encourage the very behavior we expect from them. Stereotype trait. Performance of members of a stigmatized group can be impaired by stereotype trait. This is the fear that one will confirm the stereotypes that others have regarding some salient group of which one is a member. For instance, a study by Steven Spencer, Steve and Dan Quinn, 1999, looked at the effect a mathematics test cause of making salient the stereotype that women do not perform well in mathematics. Under one condition, participants were told that there was no gender difference on a particular test they were about to take. Other participants were told that there was gender difference in favor of men. Men and women performed equivalently when they were told there was no gender difference on the test, but women performed worse than men when they were told that there was a gender difference. Question. Select the best option to the spaces below using self-fulfilling prophecy, stereotype traits, social perceptions and behavior, then empathy and a change in orientation. 1. Effective ways of reducing stereotype is by dash. 2. Dash is the fear that one will confirm the stereotypes that others have regarding some salient group of which one is a member. 3. One of the grave consequences of stereotyping is that it can seriously affect dash and dash. 4. Dash is when we act towards group members in ways that encourage the very behavior we expect. Answers. 1. Empathy and a change in orientation. 2. Stereotype traits. 3. Social perceptions and behavior. 4. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Consequences of stereotyping. Once activated, stereotypes can seriously affect social perceptions and behavior. For instance, studies on priming found that when university students are exposed to stereotypic words and images relating to old age, they later work more slowly and perform more slowly on a word recognition task. It appears that when stereotypic representations of behaviors are activated, relevant behavior also becomes activated. Wheeler and Petty, 2001. The second burden confronting people who are stereotyped is the threat that their behavior will confirm a negative stereotype. This can create anxiety and hamper performance on a variety of tasks. Steele, 1997. There is also the problem of self-perpetuating stereotypes. Once stereotypes are learned, whether from the media, family members, direct experience, or elsewhere, they sometimes take on a life of their own and become self-perpetuating stereotypes. This can happen when people experience a stereotype trait that lowers their performance. Stereotypes can also become self-perpetuating when stereotyped individuals are made to feel self-conscious or inadequate. Reducing stereotypes. Stereotypes are learned at an early age and can be stubbornly resistant to change. When people encounter a stereotyped group member who violates the group stereotypes, they often continue to maintain the stereotype by splitting it into subtypes. Richards and Houston, 2001. Studies indicate that stereotypes can be successfully reduced and social perceptions made more accurate when people are motivated to do so. Fisk, 2000, Newberg, 1989, Sinclair and Kanda, 1999. One of the most effective ways to do this is with empathy, by taking the perspective of the outgroup members and looking at the world through their eyes. In other words, put yourself in their position. This way, in-group bias and stereotypes accessibility can be significantly reduced. Galinsky and Moskowitz, 2000. Stereotype threats can also be lessened with a change in orientation. Summary: stereotyping is a natural and common process which is usually applied when people are either mentally lazy, too busy, or distracted. Invoking stereotypes may save time and effort but can lead to mistaken impression and unfair judgment about individuals. Self-fulfilling prophecy is when we act towards group members in ways that encourage the very behavior we expect. Stereotype threats relate to the fear that one will confirm the stereotypes that others have concerning some salient groups which one is a member. One of the grave consequences of stereotyping is that it can seriously affect social perceptions and behavior. Another consequence is that the stereotyped individual may harbor the fear that their behavior may confirm a negative stereotype, thus creating anxiety and also hamper performance on a variety of tasks. One of the most effective ways of reducing stereotype is by empathy and a change in orientation. This is the end of Studies Section 9. Thanks for listening.